Chris Rock built a career on saying the things most people were too afraid to think out loud. But behind the sharp wit and the sold-out arenas was a man shaped by wounds the audience never saw, and a lifetime of learning that the hardest truth to face is the one staring back at you in the mirror. He grew up in Brooklyn, the oldest of 7 kids in a household that ran on sacrifice. His father drove trucks and delivered newspapers. His mother taught preschool and worked as a social worker. Neither of them had time to complain about it. As a child, Chris absorbed that work ethic quietly, but what he absorbed outside the home was something darker. At 10 years old, he was bused to a school where he was one of very few black students, and the other kids made sure he never forgot it. According to his own accounts, the bullying was relentless, physical, racial, and humiliating. He learned to read A Room for Danger before he ever learned to read it for laughs. The stress followed him home. The school doors didn't stop it. For years, so did the anxiety. Yet something was happening underneath all that pain. He was watching people, studying the gap between what they said and what they meant, noticing how a well-timed word could shift the energy in a room. Comedy wasn't just an escape, it was control. If he could shape the joke, he owned it. Nobody could use it against him anymore. By 18, he dropped out of school and was taking shifts at fast food restaurants while trying out material in New York clubs where audiences owed him nothing. Plenty of nights, they gave him nothing. But he kept rewriting, kept returning. In his own words, "I'm a writer and I rewrite. I make sure it's in my voice." That discipline caught the attention of Eddie Murphy in 1986, one of Chris's own heroes, who recognized raw potential and opened a door with a small role in Beverly Hills Cop 2. It wasn't fame, but it was proof the path was real. The breakthrough came a decade later. Bring the Pain in 1996 didn't just launch his career, it redefined what stand-up comedy could do. 2 Emmy Awards, a generation of comedians taking notes. He followed it with Bigger and Blacker, Never Scared, and the semi-autobiographical sitcom Everybody Hates Chris, where the childhood that once broke him quietly became the thing that connected him to millions. Then came March 27, 2022, the Oscars, a moment that stopped the world. When Will Smith walked on stage and slapped him during a live broadcast seen by millions, Chris did something that surprised everyone. He said almost nothing. For a man who had built his entire life around finding the perfect words, silence became his most powerful statement. He later reclaimed the moment on his own terms in his 2023 special Selective Outrage. Not out of bitterness, but out of ownership. He chose the ending of that chapter himself. Off stage, he's faced quieter, but equally real reckonings. A marriage of nearly 20 years that ended in 2016. A diagnosis of nonverbal learning disorder that reframed parts of his own story. And the grief of losing his father before ever getting to show him how far things went. Through all of it, the through line has been the same. Keep looking honestly at yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. That's the real Chris Rock. Not just the voice that fills arenas, but the person still doing the work when the lights go down. If this story resonated with you, hit like and subscribe. There are more untold stories just like this one waiting for you.